This is the Learning About Dogs podcast featuring Kay Laurence of Learning About Dogs, and I'm Sue McGuire, your co-host and producer. Hey, it's the new season of the Lads podcast. Great excitement, one subject at a time, and today it's default behaviors. Something I've heard in years and years and years in this line of work is this whole concept of default behavior. Teach a default behavior. And it's a head scratcher at times. Like, what does that mean? What does that look? Is that something that's useful for us anymore? Or it's hugely useful, we're just not seeing it deep enough.
Yeah, and it's one of these words that means, like the word drive, it has 17 different meanings. You can default on a payment. You can default to something. You can go back to the factory settings, which is default in a computer. So a lot of depends on the context. And the default that we're talking about is when the chooser cannot make a choice. What are they likely to default to? Which happens in people when they're often overwhelmed with information. What are they likely to default to? And from days of working at the airport, they stand still. Or they'll default to asking somebody what to do, or if they don't know what to do, they'll get their phone out. So defaults are constantly changing for different environments and different places, but it's usually the term used when you don't know what choice to make. And I think we've tended to use that assuming the dog didn't know what choice to make, but really I think they are having a moment to choose which behavior or which situation do I respond to that is most likely to lead to the best reward. Yep. So if I stand still, is it likely to lead to a reward? Yes, because I don't get into trouble and I'm more comfortable and I'm safe. Or if I try and do this spin or jump up or run after the rabbit, is that going to give me more potential reward? So they're in a moment where they might look uncertain, but they're probably, rolling through which is the potential. If I do this, I can go that, and if I do that, that might happen. And yeah, has she got any food on her or not? No, I don't think so. So they're probably, if depending on experience they are, a puppy would probably default more than the older dogs, because the older dogs are familiar with the situations. They can make a choice as to what's likely at this moment to give them the best reward. And a reward can change from one moment to another. So what in this situation is reward, tomorrow in that same situation, no, I don't think I'd bother with that today. Yeah. Sometimes you drink tea instead of coffee. Yeah.
I think it's important to understand that environment, conditions, situations can create default behaviors. And then in a training situation, that can actually be a default behavior taught, so to speak.
Well, what's the training situation?
Well, yeah, you're always teaching in training situations. I'm thinking, like, I've always wanted
No,
to
you're always
go
in a learning situation.
this situation. All right, got it. Caught me up with that one.
So if it's a situation where what I'm doing is dominating the likelihood of rewards for a dog, which we could probably call a training situation. So in other words, I've got the pot, I'm getting the food out, I'm giving the words. I can control what the dog's are likely to do if they're not sure what to do. Yes, so that's where we may want our dogs to stand at our side when they see something that they're uncertain about. And when we are traveling with this puppy to start with, they suddenly see their first person on a bicycle and they go, the WTF moment, and they'll stand still and we go, oh, that's good. Standing still is good. I'll stand still with you, which is a reward in itself. And then they'll connect to us and we can walk on. So then that any moment that causes this standing still, this hesitation, they're not sure what to do, we could make a default when, as you say, something appears on the horizon that is strange or they've never seen before or is novel. And you can train it so that if they see another dog, they'll do the same. They'll learn to stand still or return to you. So we can set up situations where certain responses are most likely to happen, and we no longer have to dominate the cue to get that to happen. So if you head to a door, do you have to tell your dogs to stand still or sit, or can you just simply head to the door? And because that's what normally happens in the doorway, that situation cues the dog to do this behavior because that behavior is the one that's most likely to get rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an environmental cue, as we say, but it's also a situation where we're part of the environment, the activity, the event. And any of these are linked to, that wonderful list that Schultz gave us, where do rewards come from? Any stimulus, situation, activity, object, event that can potentially give you a reward is exactly the same as a potentially give you a cue as to what to do under those conditions.
Thanks for listening. New courses, new learning. Check out the episode notes.
Just give me a key.